If you answered no to this question, after having answered yes twice, you're going to get flagged in the system. The OldPreMeds Podcast, session number 260. And welcome to the OldPreMeds Podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, your host here every week, where I get to answer your questions that you ask over at premedforums.com, specifically in the non-traditional pre-med discussion. Before we jump into today's question, which is a doozy, I want to remind you about mappd.com. mappd.com is the new technology platform that I've had in my brain for probably a decade, if not more at this point, and is finally coming to life again at mappd.com, where I get to really help guide what I hope to be every pre-med student on their journey, and in the future, every pre-health student on their journey. That's right, mappd.com. The Mappd platform will be open to pre-PA students, pre-vet students, pre-dent students, pre-optometry, pre-pharmacy. It'll be open to all pre-health students at some point in the future. Right now, we're focused on pre-meds. You log in, create an account, which you can sign up for a free 2-week trial today at mappd.com, mappd.com. Enter your courses, enter your activities, enter your MCAT scores, both practice and real, and all of the data that you are entering, we can provide feedback to you that is specific and personalized to you. Start using Mappd as soon as you know you are a pre-med student so that you're not making mistakes from the very beginning, only later to find out that you have to correct them. In the future, as I'm recording this, maybe even now, you can invite your pre-med advisor to join Mappd as an advisor, which is free for the advisors, and they can access your account and see all of your information so that when you have your meetings with your advisor, you're not wasting time going over everything that you have done. It's already there for them to see. And right now, again, we're also working on a new kind of application simulation inside of Mappd so you can put in your personal statements, your activity descriptions, and everything else so that you can start getting feedback on all of those, again, right inside of Mappd. 2-week trial, mappd.com. Go there right now. All right, so our question today comes from a student who has the title here in the form. The title of this question is Help, I'm being filtered out by this one question. Do I have to disclose if I was, quote, disciplined for academic performance? Our student asks, I'm wondering if I have to answer yes or no to the following on AACOMAS. Quote, have you ever been disciplined for academic performance? For example, academic probation, dismissal, suspension, disqualification, etc., by any college or school? If you answered yes to the previous question, you must provide an explanation. Include 1, a brief description of the incident and or arrest, 2, specific charge made, 3, related dates, 4, consequence, and 5, a reflection of the incident and how that incident has impacted your life. In my situation, I was in a 9-month biomed master's program, and I was placed on an academic leave absence after the first quarter because I earned poor grades due to stress of home pre-foreclosure, the death of my aunt, and poor study habits. Due to my low GPA, I was placed on academic probation. When I returned the following fall quarter, I had to take a leave of absence until the program started again in the fall due to classes offered only during certain quarters. My transcript does not state anything about academic probation anywhere. It does state leave of absence. Does this mean I can answer no to this question? I previously applied the last 2 years answering yes to this question. I did explain my situation. However, I feel as though I'm being filtered out by schools by just answering yes to this question. I do not want to be filtered out by this question as I was not necessarily, quote, disciplined, and the leave of absence was placed in order to give me time to grieve and take care of family members. P.S. For reference, in my master's program, anyone with a B- average or lower was placed on academic probation. Thank you in advance for your help. All right, so obviously a tough situation, something that a lot of people unfortunately go through when life happens and you're in the middle of school. School is obviously impacted. Now, the question is, does the student have to answer yes to this question? And I think it's pretty straightforward. Let's go back up to the question. Have you ever been disciplined for academic performance? For example, academic probation, dismissal, suspension, disqualification, etc., by any college or school. And this student specifically says that they were placed on academic probation when they returned the following quarter. So in my mind, it's a straightforward yes. I think they're trying, you are trying, the person asking this question, I think you're trying to really find a loophole here to say, well, I wasn't disciplined, therefore I don't have to answer yes. And that's really not the heart of this question, is asking, have you ever been placed on academic probation? Have you ever been dismissed because of your academic performance? Have you been suspended? Have you been disqualified, etc.? And it sounds like the answer is yes, you have been placed on academic probation. As you said, every student who has a B- average or lower is placed on academic probation. And it sounds like it was even more serious that you were placed on academic leave because either A, because that's their standard, or B, because obviously the classes that you needed weren't offered any other time and you just had to take a break anyway. In my mind, that is still an academic dismissal or an academic suspension until those classes are offered again. So yes, I think you have to answer yes to this question. And if you answered no to this question, after having answered yes twice, you're going to get flagged in the system. I talked to a student recently who had to go through this process. I think it was for a question about being having a misdemeanor, and the student had yes at one point and then changed to no because of their they were answering yes when they didn't have to, and AACOMAS called them and said, hey, like you got flagged in our system for having answered yes to this previously. Now you're answering no. Like, what's the deal? And it had to be cleared and adjudicated. And so if you answer no after previously answering yes, then there's going to be a potential issue there. I will tell you that the majority of schools probably do not filter out based on this question. There are a lot of students and there are a lot of reasons that students go on academic probation. You have a very good reason for going on academic probation. My question is, how did you answer this question? Maybe you didn't answer it well enough. You didn't reflect on it well enough. You didn't own it to appease the school and go, okay, I understand what happened here. It's great. It shouldn't be an issue moving forward. Maybe you didn't do that. Or maybe your reason for not getting into medical school has nothing to do with this question, and it's something else. It's your undergrad grades, it's your MCAT score, it's your activities. There could be a million reasons why you're not getting an interview, getting an acceptance, getting in to medical school. I wouldn't single out this question as a reason why you are being filtered out. You're answering yes to this question is not the problem in my mind. Again, students are answering yes to this question left or right, and as long as they own it, they're getting in. Students with alcohol violations, with misdemeanors, with other issues in their application are getting in to medical school. A lot of these questions are not automatic filters for medical schools. So think of something else, reflect on the rest of your application. Maybe apply for application renovation, which is my YouTube series where I look at the application and I work with you to figure out where your application is lacking and where potentially you are missing out in your application to get in to medical school. You can find that at applicationrenovation.com/apply to apply to that series. So hopefully this was helpful. Yes, I think you need to answer yes to this question, reflect on it, tell your story, and move on. I wish you the best of luck moving forward. For everyone else, if you want to have your question answered here on the podcast, go to premedforums.com, click on the non-traditional pre-med discussion, and ask your question there. And don't forget to check out Mappd at mappd.com, mappd.com. Have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the Old Pre-Meds podcast.